This car is supposed to be down in Vegas April 22nd.
Nope, cut there, and...
V8, NASCAR,
Yeah.
carburetor.
Gabe, you want to weigh in on this? What you're looking at here is a set of eBay 60-pound injectors. I don't advise buying these. Fuel is literally dropping from the bottom of my intake filter. Holy shit.
Hey, you know, if the fuel stops dripping, maybe we can leave the rest of the oil it's still in there.
Throw it back.
Yeah?
Would
that work?
Decent two-stroke fuel right there.
You zoomed in on that, Austin?
Yeah.
So what you guys are witnessing is an engine filled to the brim with fuel. Alright, so testing an injector. Now, even with the injector closed, click, turn on. Yeah, it's just dumping. Alright, so here's the first thing that happened when our injectors dumped practically 4 gallons of fuel into the motor and hydrolocked things. Not only did we destroy our starter, we also potentially bent a rod. So essentially what happened was a month before, leading up to our first event of the season, we wanted to make sure that we didn't leave any loose ends, and we were noticing some fuel cut issues. We had a feeling that maybe our bottleneck was our fuel injectors. Despite getting help from a tuner down in Australia to change the injector values, can't really fix an injector being stuck open. So we ended up hydrolocking the motor. So we're left with 2 options. Sulk about it, or get to work.
Alright, about to take off the oil pan. Take a look and see this bent rod.
Been a long time since we've filmed anything. Why not be another motor teardown? So I actually had nobody in the shop to help me drop this motor out and get it on this engine stand. So I took 2 ratchet straps, hoisted the engine up into the air, and then attached it to the back of the stand.
Oh,
Wow. Looks like we found our culprit.
alright. So if you look in here, very clearly you can see where this rod is bent. Boom! Look at that shit. Oh my gosh. One of the wildest things to me about cars.
Now this is pretty big in comparison to some of the small things that can make an entire motor stop functioning. But still one small component to this entire operation in front of us. Nate Dickey is back. Giving it his all because he's on camera. Mechanic boy, building shit boxes. Alright, so first step is disassembling the rotating assembly, taking off all the end caps on the rods and separating those from the crankshaft, and taking our 3-jaw puller onto the crankshaft pulley. We actually had to use a unibit to be able to reach and pull that thing off, but it worked. As we start to tear things down, we want to stay a little more organized this time than we have in the past. Grab an empty tray. I'm gonna grab 2 in this case. And I've decided I want to separate my water pump bolts from my timing cover bolts. You see we got our little label maker here. When you start, coming up with hundreds and hundreds of bolts, it may seem like overkill to do all this, but it really is worth it, because when we reassemble things, it's gonna go so fast. I'm gonna go, hey, I need timing cover bolts, and somebody's just gonna grab a shelf, grab a tray, and bring it over. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna put these right in here. And our timing cover bolts, and then we walk over here when we're done. Slip it in. We got our intake manifold bolts, our flywheel bolts, spark plugs even. These are some crossmember bolts, windage tray nuts, bell housing bolts, exhaust manifold. So here we're taking off the water pump, alternator, front timing cover assembly, rear main cover, removing the crankshaft, setting it by the rest of our connecting rods and pistons. And here comes our Texas Speed Performance 416 rotating assembly. This is going to bring us up to a 6.8 liter LS3. And to add a cherry on top, my personal favorite part of the new engine builds, the Texas Speed American flag valve covers. For the first step, I wanted to prepare my connecting rods, so I've got them all laid out on the table. Went ahead and cleaned the bearing surface, getting them prepped to go into the vise to break loose those ARP connecting rod bolts. We're adding a light film of assembly lube before attaching the connecting rod bearings and reassembly. After prepping the upper main bearing surface of the block, we install the bearings, the thrust bearing. We clean all of those again to make sure there's no dust or particles, and apply some assembly lube for the crankshaft to spin nice and freely. Okay, so
Yeah.
do you remember how much you're supposed to torque them?
Not even, no.
Do you remember, Pat?
Do you know what the torque spec is?
Yeah. It's on the internet. Last part of the motor assembly we're showing in this episode is installing the main caps. We're torquing these main caps down in a proper sequence with a snap-on digital vibrating torque wrench that can also do torque angle, as the main bolts are torqued to yield.
81, oops.
No, I'm just fucking busting your balls. Where'd you get this? The fucking Goodwill?
Goodwill, man.
Fucking
Goodwill.
Thrift Army America.
God bless the fucking America.
Here you go. Appreciate you. What a fucking maroon.
Oh, I got shit to do.
All right, yeah.
Whoa,
Get out of here. Brush your
This is not
fucking
good
teeth,
looking.
all right? You know I'll be brushing.
What is this?
This is a little bit of a whiskey. It's a
What's
whiskey.
in that? What is that?
100% American grown flour, my friend.
Actually,
Enjoy.
Enjoy.
Yo, what's up?
I think I'm ready. So not only are we prepping this motor for competition, but we're actually installing a new Sweet Manufacturing steering column from Joe's Racing. So actually trying to get the front dash bar smooth to be able to get the brackets on there was actually very difficult. One thing we forgot to do before purchasing this steering column was actually measure.
What if the brackets rotate towards you?
But I'm gonna get a refund. I'm taking the steering column back. I think the shaft is a little bit too short. Yeah.
You gotta get what you paid for.
Look at this.
Priorities. Doing bullshit.
Hey guys, I really appreciate you watching the video and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, as most of you know, about 4% of our audience will ever even get a notification that this video came out. The way we fight that is with your guys' help. If you liked the video, make sure to actually like it. If you got something to ask me, I will respond, leave a comment. Anything you can do to help us with engagement, give it a share. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. Is super appreciated. So thank you very much. Stay tuned for episode 2. It will come out soon enough.